The ISS Travern, a Class C freight vessel, is on a routine cargo run and fails to arrive at its destination. After repeated failed attempts to contact it, the GIS Trade Federation reports it missing. 72 hours later, the Travana is found drifting near a fringe system. It is thousands of clicks off course. Its primary power systems are offline, its communications channels silent, its thrusters dead. There is no perceived activity on board. Its crew members remain unreachable.
Well, will you look at that? A Generation 1 BT manufactured freight vessel. Never thought I'd see one of those still operational. That ship's practically a relic. I'm surprised the FCA renewed its registration. So, you got the brief right? The ship didn't turn up at the Zebulus 3 spaceport. A couple of days later, a merchant freight transporting minerals to the Expo Belt spots it on radar. It appears to have lost power and coasted a couple 100,000 clicks off its original course. No comms, no signs of the crew. Looks like they abandoned ship. Can't say I blame them. The GIS fines for delayed shipments due to avoidable technical faults are brutal. It would have wiped out the crew's pay for months. Abandoning the ship and claiming that their lives were at risk due to a technical failure gets them off the hook because the insurance companies take the hit. And with a ship that old, it'd be hard to prove otherwise. The system's messed up, what can I say? Now we're left to clean up the mess and file the paperwork. The Traven's crew is still at large, but our patrols will find them. They're probably at a cantina somewhere in this sector. We'll try to get the truth out of them, but I don't have much hope. You know the drill. Once you're on the ship, head to the bridge and extract all the primary logs you can get. Any evidence we can find to tell us what actually happened will help us close this quicker. I'll call you as soon as you're inside.
What could possibly go wrong other than my chin covering up that poor woman's face? I must apologise for that. Anyway. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to something called Decrypt, which is by a very special group of people called Crux Games Studios. And they have made something new, and I was very excited to have a look at it.
So, the bad news first. The schematics we have on file for this ship's model are so old, they're obsolete. BT stopped making these in '09, and it's been modded beyond recognition over the years. So, you'll have no nav map assistance on your HUD on this mission. Sorry about that. The good news, however, is that this ship's layout should be pretty rudimentary. This maintenance hall should lead you out to the ship's primary quarters and then to the bridge. Take the large bay door up ahead and keep moving towards the front of the ship. Since the primary power is down, a lot of the subsystems won't be operational, but most doorways should still work. I'll check back with you in a bit. I'm gonna see what I can dig up on the crew. Might give us a clue to what actually happened here.
Indeed. So, this appears to be a sort of sci-fi space adventure. A bit more story-based, obviously. They want to emphasise what they're good at, and if there's any people in the indie game world right now who are good at telling stories, it's these people. So I'm very interested to see what sort of story we have to discover in this place. I'm guessing it's not quite as selfish and straightforward as was insinuated in the opening exposition. You need a crypto keychain to mine this terminal. Okay, where I come from, mining is done with a pickaxe, and mining is done on rocks, not on computer screens. I wouldn't advise taking a pickaxe to a computer screen. You probably end up cheating people off quite badly. Okay, authorized personnel. This door access panel is secured by biocode encrypted keycard access. Proceed with decryption and override, I suppose. Is this like a mini game that I have to do? No, because I don't have the thing I need. Oh, good. I guess I'd better just go the way I was told to then.
More bad news. The security systems on this relic are so archaic, your override tool's master key bank doesn't have its decryption sequence. I don't think our algorithms go back that far, but that's not a problem. You'll just have to find a terminal on the ship's network that's still online, and then you can mine crypto keys to complete the missing chains. You should also be able to pull out encrypted messages from the comm system, which will be helpful. Hold on, I'm adding a crypto keychain module to your tool belt now.
Oh, okay. Cool. I see we are very highly technologically integrated, which kind of makes sense, I suppose, given that we're in space. Okay, so is this going to work now that I've got the thing? No, I need 2 for this. Oh. It's the crypto keychain thing that she's just strapped onto my belt. Is that the thing I need in order to get this thing working? Is that how this works? Yes, indeed. The terminal is online and connected to the local data network. Proceed with crypto key mining. Crypto key mining requires considerable energy and may render the terminal unusable once complete. Oh, okay. Can I read anything off it first? Like read the messages? No? Right then, let's get on with it. So this should get me a resource. There we are. So that's popped out on my belt, which will get me through the first door. And what about any messages? They're in the ship. That's what Manu said yesterday at the mess hall. I noticed he wasn't eating, just staring fixedly at his food. His face was pallid. He told me he wasn't sleeping well. The noises, don't you hear them, he said. Noises? I asked. The thuds, the groans, the people upstairs that are far more successful in that line of life than I am, but never mind. They're coming to the very heart of this vessel. I told him that I heard them too, that we all did, and that they were just the sounds of the bones of this old ship settling, the tectonic shifts of metal plates long past their prime. But he seemed to barely register what I said. When he looked at me, his eyes had a fixed quality that I didn't much care for. He said, "They're on the ship." Just that one cryptic sentence. "I want you to see him, Doc. I'm worried about him. He hasn't been himself since we started this run." Interesting. And yes, that's killed off the computer. Okay, so I don't have the keycard to get into that locker, but is this my journal? Yes, I think so. Okay, so that allows me to see any of the past messages that I've read, which will be useful in case any of them include any key cards or key codes, even like access cards, that kind of thing. So I've got 1 key now, so that should let me through this door. Yes, and that's used up a key, so I need to get 2 more before I can get through that. Okay, that's perfectly straightforward. I've got a light. I should have turned that on ages ago. Never mind. So what sort of room are we in now? Power module. Okay, is this like an engine room of some kind? Yes, I think so. We've got lots more computers here. Can I mine things out of these ones as well? No, these say the network status is offline, which presumably means these computers are inactive. Yes, this definitely seems like an engine room of some kind. Giddy on, what happened here? I warned you about having the curry the night before you went to work. That's why I always say have curry on a Saturday night. That way you've got Sunday to recover. But you just wouldn't listen to me, would you? This terminal doesn't have power. Could I maybe get some sort of power out of one of these things? Power module. Could I take one of these? A power cell appears to be missing. Oh, okay. I'm not trying to take one of these. I need to bring one back here to power this up, which will probably get some of these computers working. So the question is where I can find one of those, because then that'll get everything else moving along nicely. So is it just hanging out somewhere? Because I'm not sure where else I can go in terms of the rest of the ship until I get more keys. So is it my imagination, or do these things look like space-age fax machines? Or am I just crazy? Right. Oh boy. Okay, so, giddy aunt. This power module is missing a battery, and this cable leads it up to this machine, so I can get this machine working if I get a power module to put in there. I spent the last 15 minutes wandering around trying to find one until I realized that this machine right here is working. And it works perfectly. So let's see what I can get out of here. Just the one? Just the one. Okay. Maybe this has a code to the... Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Wow. Man alive, I'm stupid. Okay, Terminal 4 is still broken. I swear this junkyard ship is falling apart. The power fluctuations and network failures are growing worse. We flipped back and forth to backup power a dozen times already since we left. At this rate, we won't make it halfway to our destination. So the temporary power rig you set up for Terminal 4 is still missing a power cell. You told me you put it in yesterday, but I suppose you forgot. Could you replace the cell, please? There's a spare one in the locker in storage. Its code is 4121. Right. Okay. Sorry, that took far longer than it ought to have, because I was simply so blind that I didn't see that machine was there, and I didn't see that it was functional. So now that I've got the code for the locker, I can open the locker, get the power cell, get the machine going, get the other code going, and get through that door, and then everything will be happy. Right, 4121. Yay! It worked, and now we've got the power cell. Excellent, and a very snazzy jacket. A marvellous combination. Also, I noticed this. There's coffee cups, or the coffee decanters, just literally hanging off the walls, which I think is excellent. I think all workplaces in the world could be improved by just having coffee stuck on the wall. Right, let's put that in there. And then that'll get this working, and then I can hopefully get a second key out of this. Maybe some more information as well. Yep, there we go. That's the second key that I need. And now we have some information. Manu's condition concerns me. He vacillates between nervous energy and a kind of sullen silence. His pronouncements are getting increasingly dire and nonsensical. He exhibits a high degree of paranoia. He says they are down in the cargo hold. He seems to be withdrawing into himself. The doctor saw him earlier today and said he'll give an update soon. It's odd how Manu is so troubled by these noises. They are, to be honest, disconcerting. George says that sounds have a way of resonating on an old ship like this. He says they're likely originating from the cargo hold below, where the ship's core structural spine is, travelling through the air ducts. Any luck on those records? I want anything you can get on the history of the ship, who owned it, who the last crew was, and how long since it's had FCA approval, and so on. We know the ship is pre-Garant War, but that makes it about half an ES century old. The bizarre power fluctuations and randomly failing subsystems bode ill. The ship is perfectly alright when we left. If they've dumped a crippled vessel on us to balance their books, I'm going to have heads rolling at GIS. I won't wish the life of my crew for the sake of their stupid corporates. Okay, that's interesting. So there was only something a little odd going off about this ship. Perhaps there was some sort of a monster on the ship. Low light detected. Yes, turn the flashlight on. I'd already worked that on, mate, and frankly I needed the flashlight even when the lights weren't low level, so I'm going to definitely need it now. So it sounds like we were on a bit of a cursed ship and somebody was selling it in order to try and get it out of their shipyard before it caused any more trouble. And these poor souls just happen to be the wide-eyed rubes that bought it. I'm getting a bit of an Alien vibe, despite having never watched it. Thank you for pointing me in the direction of the jump scare. I appreciate that. The number of times that I've missed the jump scare is frankly unbelievable. But yes, I'm definitely getting a bit of an Alien vibe of this, despite never having watched Alien. Okay, we've got many doors here. Let's see how many of these we can open. We're going to need some more codes, or key cards, or whatever they're called, in order to get through them, though. Unless some of them are just open on their own. How many do I need to get through this one? Hopefully 1 or 2. Yep, 2. So it seems like I'm going to need quite a lot to get through all these doors. So there must be some open rooms with some terminals in them, so that I can earn the cards I need to carry on exploring. Medical. No, looks like this is locked as well. This does only need 1 though, so I might be able to get in here sooner than otherwise. There should better be my footsteps and not the footsteps of some sort of monster. Ah yes, here we are. The stock room. Yeah, this might have something useful in it. There's another locker. Keep our eye out for another code. Let's get a key out of here, and then maybe we can get into the medical room, and that might have some information about the condition that the crew member was suffering from. What do we have here? I've tried everything, but I'm not able to figure out the power issue. All the systems are testing fine on the maintenance tools. It's infuriating. And now we have the leaks. I have no idea what the foul-smelling green stuff coming out of the vents is. Rico says it looks and smells like acid fertilizers they use on the fields on his homeworld, but that's ridiculous. We aren't carrying any such thing in our cargo, and even if we were, if there was a leak from one of the containers, the stuff wouldn't have flown into the airflow systems. I also don't know how to say this, but the crew is a little jittery. This is just a small cargo vessel, and there's just 10 of us. It's not like this is our first run, and some of these guys have been on trips past the 7 systems, but this ship has some bad mojo. The waymanu's going off his head, and now Rico says he saw something yesterday in the corridor. He looked shocked, and you know Rico, he's as steady as stone, always thinks he's right, so I went and checked, but I didn't see anything. Not then, but the day before when I was surveying the vent, I swear I saw something moving up there in the darkness. I don't know what to say, boss. I hate to sound like a greenfoot, but I ain't at ease either. Something about this ship isn't right, and my sleep ain't working. I keep waking up, and I can't remember what woke me. Interesting. Interesting. So yes, it seems like they had a stowaway on board, some sort of monster or creature that we witnessed that was sneaking around. I dread to think what this green pus stuff is, though. I dread to think what orifice of the monster that came out of and got left behind, and why it's quite so acidic. Right, we can gain access to the medical room now. If we're very thin, we can gain access to the medical room. I guess that's one way to cure obesity. If you're too wide, you're denied all medical care. I suppose that's one way of going about things. Right. Got some medical carts. We've got another locker and another terminal. Doesn't seem like there's anything else of much importance here, except another hole in the ceiling, and more green goop! Hooray. Right. What? Oh, okay, I thought I needed a username and password to log in, but no, I think we're just going to hack straight into it. There we go. Okay, so that's one more, so I'm not sure which other doors only needed 1, but we'll see what we can find. I had Manu come in today. He tried to avoid the appointment, which I was expecting, so I had Nina escort him here. It's hard to say no to Nina. You're right, it's shocking how sickly he looks. He didn't talk at first. When he finally did, he asked. Now, he begged me for some blank slate among the wreck, drugs, kids, and deep out by the guys in the military, but I digress. When I told him we can't issue a sedative without a strong reason, He said he was as sure as hell he had a good reason. I haven't slept in days, he said. Why not? Are you having bad dreams? The reason I asked him that was because two others had come in with the same complaints. He said, yes, I think so. I asked him what the dreams were about, and he said he couldn't remember. But I sensed he was being evasive. When I probed, he said, they're in here with us. Who? I asked. At first he did not reply. He stared into the corner of the room and at the beds. Finally he turned to me, his eyes locked with mine. He said, we should never have set foot on this ship. We shouldn't be here. I must admit that a chill went down my spine. Something about this whole business is troubling. I checked his vitals and they were fine. His blood pressure was a little higher than normal, but I would have been surprised if it wasn't. He's lost some weight and he's exhausted, but at least physically he is fine. His condition appears to be the result of sustained levels of high anxiety bordering on paranoia. I described him a half dose of the drug he requested. He popped the pill right here before I could stop him, and I sent him to his room. He was so distracted that he left his access card in the network data room here. I asked Nina to move it to the locker in stock so someone can pick it up in case we aren't here. Nina reset the code to 1109. Okay, so that's the room that we were in before. So that doesn't help with this one, this locker. But if I head back to that room I was in, I don't remember those lights being on before. I don't think a monster would turn the lights on. I think a monster would turn the lights off, because they're just that environmentally friendly. Right, 1109. There we go. And what's this? An end data room access card. Okay, so I did see a room. Yes, here we are with that written on it. So can I... Okay, so if I get an access card, then I don't need to use these keys that I'm saving up. Interesting. Right. Here's another opportunity to get another key. This will get us into another room, and hopefully a bit more information about what exactly is going on. Just the one? Yes, just the one, okay. What do we have here? Captain, the security systems are failing one by one. We've got doors suddenly and completely inoperable, and then they return to normalcy minutes later with no apparent reason. The system diagnostics reveal nothing. I'm switching all doors from biorec to manual access keys. The others aren't going to like that, but till we figure out what's causing this, I'd feel better if we keep the protocols basic. I suspect the green fluid that's coming out of the vents is seeping into the ship's electronics. Even if that was so, everything would be shorting out by now. George says he's doing his best to keep the ducts clean, but the stuff just keeps coming and is driving him crazy. I don't mean to cry doom, but the way things are going, it's possible that all primary systems may fail before we reach our destination. If you ask me, the ship should never have left. But I saw the GIS reports with my own eyes before we left. They cleared the ship to take off and their diagnostics were legitimate. All systems go. 20 years in ship systems operations and I've never seen anything like this. It just doesn't make sense. Something is seriously wrong with this vessel, and I don't just mean the electronics. You've seen the look in everyone's eyes. Nobody's sleeping right and nobody would talk about it. George saw something in the air ducts, but he wouldn't say what. All I know is that he looked more perturbed than usual, and I've seen something too. I can't even explain it. It's something unspeakable in the shadows. I was going to say I wonder when I'm going to see it, but I think I already have, or at least I've seen the shadow of it. I look forward to finding out what the rest of it looks like. Okay, so where can I go next? How many do I need to get through here? I'm going to guess 3. Yep. Had a funny feeling. Just a little inkling. Okay, right. Mainly my inkling came because we haven't explored all the doors here yet, so we'd want to do that first. Okay, let's go into the tech room. I think this one required 2. So let's go in here and see what else we can find. Yes, here we are. Okay, what's this flashing light? Is it another missing power module? It is, isn't it? Hi, friend. You're not quite as green as your urine, but never mind. So yes, again, we're missing a power module, so I need to find another one of those. There might be... That might be in the locker in the medical room. That's my best bet. my best guess at the moment. Right, let's see if any of these computers are working. Yes, this one's working. Here we are. Let's get another key out of this and see if we can get a code out of the associated journal entry. I'm seriously concerned about the way things are going. The ship is practically falling apart around us. I can't risk this anymore. I told Nina to put out an SOS signal and to flag down the first passing ship. I know that this will result in all kinds of trouble with the GIS. They'll try to pin a failed run on us, accuse us of pulling an insurance scam, and then hammer us with fines. But that's okay, I'm not going to risk the lives of my people. And then there's other stuff. Manu hasn't left his room in 2 days, and the others are rattled and on edge. I don't care what this is, collective hysteria, lock-in syndrome. What matters is that the incidents, I don't know what else to call them, are growing and they're more frightening. There can be no more denying it. Something is in here with us, and it means us great harm. Indeed. I highly doubt it was here just to give you a few Girl Scout cookies and ask you whether you wanted any help with your tax returns. Okay, what have we got in this one? Most of the terminals have gone offline again, Captain. 1 or 2 have shut down completely. Everything's dumping on me, but what can I do? I still think that something is getting in the wiring. I tried to get George to take a look, but he's too busy trying to keep the LSS going. He's so stressed he yells at me if I even talk to him. We've only got 3 terminals operational online, and now Terminal 7 is powered down too. I've managed to set up an auxiliary power rig, but we're short of a cell. I had loaned one to the medical room last week. Could you get George to collect it for me and hook it up when he has time? He won't pay me any heed. Sorry, I just noticed what the code is. He can take it from the medical locker directly, the doctor won't mind. Right, Gideon. The one time in my life where I don't just stick in random basic codes in the vacuum of getting them working is the one day when that would actually correctly solve the problem. Okay, let's head back to the medical room. If I can remember where I left it. Now that was the storage room, wasn't it? The medical room was back here somewhere. Yes, here we are. So I'll get the power cell, power up the computer, get the third thingamajig, whatever the heck these things are. There we go. And then that will let me through that main doorway. Hi, friend. You look rather human. And also as if you're missing most of your lower intestines. But never mind. At least you're in the right sort of place. I don't think anything spooky actually happened. It was just the lights going off. Yes. I don't think a ceiling panel went down or anything. Excuse me. Do you mind? Thank you. Right, let's get this powered up. There we go. Put that big old chocolate bar of power in there. And get our third key from here. I think the engines are getting affected now. Did you feel the hitch an hour ago? I did tell, and did Nina tell you about the comms? I'll let her give you the bad news herself. I don't think we're going to get that SOS out. I also need you to talk to Rico. He's getting on my nerves. Keep asking me to check every duct on the ship, and I've already got my hands full. Also, why did you let him alter the security protocols on every door? He's turned off the biorec and switched the physical access keycards. Now we're back in the 22nd century. He wants no one anywhere without a physical card on their person. This is causing havoc. I've already misplaced the access key to my room somewhere. I think I left it at the showers, and now I need to waste more time finding the thing. Also, have you seen Manu anywhere? He's not in his room, and the doctor said he shouldn't be wandering around because he's on some pretty strong medications. If you see him, tell him the doctor is looking for him urgently. Interesting. So I have to wonder how much of that message was him being annoyed because everybody else is going crazy and paranoid, or is him being annoyed as like a reaction to the stress of the monsters that he is presumably seeing as much as everybody else. I am curious about the requiring physical keycards to get through places. I wonder whether that might have been a tactic used to try and slow down the monster. Oh, hi again. I completely forgot about you.
I've been trying to reach you. Something is interrupting comms out of that ship. If you're seeing this, listen. We tried to locate the crew. We put out a bulletin at every system in this sector, but we came up empty. We traced the course of the tavern, and not a single vessel rendezvoused with it since it left Nagari. It looks like the crew never left the ship. I've requested Det 2 to take over this investigation. This isn't a data ops mission anymore. Abort and head to the nearest airlock. There should be one by the bridge or down in the cargo bay. Listen.
Can't I go out the one I came in by?
There's something else. I've looked up records on this ship, and here's where things get really strange. It appears this isn't the first time there's been an incident missing and...
Ow, my ear. Oh dear. Oh, were the doors locking behind me? I did have a suspicion that was the case. Oh, okay. That's why I can't go back to the one I entered from, because it's locked. Ah. On one side of the ship, there is me. On the other side of the ship, there is a monster. There is a exit. In the middle of the ship, there is a monster. In the middle of this video, well, the whole way throughout this video, there are many verbal stumblings. Okay, so we found the showers. So one of the people was talking about leaving their key card in the shower. I'm thinking about it, they probably left it in the locker, not in the shower itself. Right, I'm going to stop complaining, and I'm going to applaud the monster for their levels of hygiene. Oh. Hi, friend. Can I just get the hell out of here, frankly, before anything else goes wrong? Yes, that sounds like a brilliant plan. Oh, boy. Okay, right. Okay, it looks like I might be able to get in here. Yes. Oh, yeah, room 2. Yes, because this is room 2, isn't it? Right. Yes, indeed. It says it right here. Right. If the door would open... No, apparently it wouldn't. Do I need to press the doorbell? Yes, I do. Right. Kitty on. It wasn't even the door's fault, which is me not understanding how doors work. Brilliant. What's with the Trojan horse? Is that a clue to something? Right. Let's get another key out of here. And hopefully let us access another room, and we'll see what additional information we have in here. This presumably will also be written by the same bloke who wrote the last one, judging this is his room, and this is like a message received by him rather than sent by him. How can a person go missing in the confined vessel in the boundless interstellar space? We searched every corner of this cursed ship, and there's no trace of Manu. He has grown more withdrawn over the last few days. When I visited him the day before, I noticed a smell about him. It wasn't just the stench of unwashed body, it was something lower, an animalistic smell of desperation. He stared past me and into the corridor when I tried to talk to him. None of the escape pods have been deployed, and they're not even operational now, so he has to be on the ship, except he isn't. I get the distinct impression he's in the belly of the beast. I see the raw panic in the eyes of the others. Some of them are urging me to turn the ship around, but the state it's in, we're not going to make it back. Nina is working on getting the SOS out, but the comms aren't fully operational, and yet more troubles. We're going to do everything we can to find Manu. He has to be here somewhere. Meanwhile, the sightings are getting more frequent, and the nature of the encounters more horrific. Such as the bloody shower, I presume. What have those things done to Manu? Where could they have taken him? For I have no doubt in my mind they are responsible. I can sense a growing malevolence, a kind of hunger. I have given standing instructions to the crew until we know how to deal with them. If you see one of those things, run away. Do not engage. Turn away and run. Okay, I'm curious about the use of the plural in those statements. Oh, hi. Yes. Is this... Yeah, this is probably the moment I should run away, thinking about it, isn't it? Yes, indeed. Which way? This way, probably. Oh, goodness. Is it gone? Is it gone like my bottle? Right. Giddy aunt. That was a turn. Okay, right. Man alive. That was a nice little change of pace, quite literally. We stopped meandering and we started, well, running away. Now, I don't really want to go back in here, but I'm going to. No, I think the area is safe now. Okay, let's see. Can I get into room number 5? How many keys do I need to get in here? I don't know whose room this is, but... No, I need 2 to get in here. Okay, so I can't get in here yet. So they probably were trying to drive me out of the corridor to say, don't come back here for a while, because you need some more stuff before you're able to do that. Okay. Let's head into the other corridor and see if there's any rooms there that only need a single key in order to get in. Or maybe this room. What's this? Oh, this is another bathroom. Okay, but I can't access this, it would seem. No. Door won't open, and there is a little sign in the way. And interstellar data collectors are so often thwarted by a little sign. Okay, let's try room number 3. Yes, indeed. Brilliant. Okay, so we can get in here now. Got ourselves another locker. Got a key card. This will get me through a door into room 5 of wing A. Okay, I mustn't forget that. Room 5, wing A. Rico said he'd seen Manu heading down towards the cargo hold, but we checked. The power grid is almost completely shorted and there's hardly any light down there. Those horrible sounds seem to be getting louder as well, and there is no sign of Manu. I'm still not able to get the comms back up, so the SOS isn't looking likely. I can't seem to isolate the problem. The electronics check out okay, but all we're getting is static. It just doesn't make any sense. It sounds like you're... Well, it sounds like the ship is working fine, but there's some sort of maybe a dampening field around the ship that's preventing any transmissions getting in or out. Everyone is seeing those things now, and the encounters are more violent. George thinks they are coming through the vents, but I'm not so sure of it. It's more like they're appearing out of thin air. There's something else. Just before the comms went down, I got a message back from my contact at the GIS. I just saw it now. The records of the ship's history you'd request. I'm poring over them, and I'll send you a summary shortly. You're not going to believe what I've found. Yes, I'm guessing that's similar to the communication I just received from my counterpart. Who again didn't seem very pleased with the history of this place. Okay, I'm guessing that means this isn't wing A then, if that room 5 isn't opening. So let me go back to the other corridor. Is this wing B? Yes, it is. Okay, let's go back to wing A, find room number 5, and see what we can get in there. Hopefully a second key. Although thinking about it, if this is where we wanted to go, yes, in here, then we won't actually need any keys. Oh, okay. So it seems like you can use keys to get through certain doors, or you can use the physical key cards that you find rather than the ones that you download. Interesting. Right. Let's get another one out of here to hopefully allow us to move on into the next area. Whatever little chance we had of getting the systems back online is gone with Rico. The engines are dead and the navigational systems are shot. We're coasting, heading off course. With comms downs, we are unable to communicate. I can't even get the escape pods operating. Now that Rico's missing, I want you to do everything you can to keep life support systems running until we can find a way off the ship. Rico had the key to the 4LSS room. It should be in his locker along with the spare power cell. Get the key and the power cell and head to the room. Try to get at least one terminal going. Since the trouble started, Rico moved to room 3 in wing B. He didn't want to be near Manu's old room. He handed over all the codes to me yesterday, just in case his locker is 9971. Okay, so that gives us access to the next locker. which will give us a power cell and another keycard. The question is where the keycard goes. Because unless there was a doorway at the end of the other corridor, this corridor up here, that I could go through in order to move on to the next zone. Why are you saving? I'm worried when a game saves, because it probably means I'm going to die in a minute. What did I just say? What did I just go and say? Oh, gosh. Whoa, 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 whoa. I kind of regret going in there now. What did I say about being afraid of saving because it means I'm on the brink of death? Good yarns. Okay. It's interesting. That is Rico's room. And they said that Rico didn't want to be near Manu's old room. And there was a man in there. I think that might be the spirit of Manu, as it were. Oh, you're coming from that direction. That explains a lot. No, it doesn't, because I'm still dead. Am I supposed to go inside Rico's room then? Is that supposed to be the safe place where I hide? I mean, I can't go forwards and I can't go back, so I don't think I'm going to make a choice at this moment. Security protocols are already disabled. Safe? Probably not, but let's just bank on it for the time being, because it's the best option. It's the only option we've got. Right, there we are. Now got access to the control room and another power cell. Is the monster gone? Yes. Spiffing. So now where am I going? Where's my next doorway to open? Where is this LSS room you're talking about? Oh, here we are. This is open now. Fantastic. Gosh, this is less fantastic, but we'll just have to deal with it, I suppose. And again, you're saving. Stop frightening me. Here we are. This is the control room. Okay. So we can get through here with a key card and use the power cell, if we survive long enough, in order to power up another terminal. Yes, here we are. Put the power module in here and get this terminal up and running. This should give us another key, and hopefully we won't need any more than 3 in order to get out of this corridor. I got away, but I'm trapped in the medical bay. The doctor isn't here, and I hope he's okay. We haven't found Rico yet, and I have no idea where the others are. I last saw Jones and Summit in the maintenance hall an hour ago, but no word from them since. So, about the records, I learned that the ship was purchased from BT in 2395 by some people who I'm not going to try and pronounce the name of because I will insult somebody horribly by my failure. If you remember, they were part of a rebel movement out of the Pexus Belt. For nearly half a century, they invaded and conquered dozens of worlds on the outer edge of the belt. Their government was theocratic. They followed a creed that espoused rigid social segregation based on genetics. They believed that one's genes, rather than one's specific codes in our genomes, defined one's worth and place in society. You know how I feel about that. Genetics, race, eugenics, it's all the same. It's just another instrument that humans have used since the dawn of time to oppress and exploit each other. The ideology is a thin cover for profit. Every member of their society and their colonies, every man, woman and child were put into a social order, and the lowest strata was the slave. They subjected their slaves to all manners of atrocities. The slaves had their wills and bodies broken. They were not allowed to marry, but they were instead bred. Generations were born into bondage. Despite pressure from the center, they refused to give up their devastating enterprises. Before the wars vanquished their governments, they had enslaved and sold thousands across the stars. This vessel was a slaver ship. Its cargo bay was a slave hold. Its purpose was to carry the ill-fated cargo across interstellar space for trade and profit. After the war and the decimation of the government, the ship disappeared off records for a time. It reappears nearly a decade later to have been sold off for a pittance to an off-world merchant traders who renovated it and used it for interplanetary cargo runs. Over the years, the ship changed hands frequently, often abruptly. There were records of it being abandoned briefly at a salvage docks to be scrapped, and then there were other stories, whispers of bizarre incidents, crew abandonments, illnesses, and deaths. The crew before us did a single run before they sold it to an N-tier dealership, which then sold it to Narvo. Narvo made a killing on the deal, and that's why we're here. But there's more, something far worse. During its slavery era, an incident occurred on the ship that's so horrific I could find nothing about it in the official GIS records. My contact dug it out of the wire. I'll tell you more about it when I meet you on the bridge. I see. So it's not a monster. It's Kitty, Aunt. It's just a little too close for comfort, is what it is. Okay, it's still following me. Oh, giddy up, there's more of them. I feel a bit bad for saying it as well, because I feel like they're just the disembodied souls of enslaved unfortunates that really didn't deserve any of this. Right, through the door and away from you. Whew, man alive. Hi, friend. Who are you? You having a nice time? Is the pizza good this time? Can't be much worse than normal canteen pizza. Okay, right. Need some keys to get through that. So that'll have to wait for the time being. Need some keys to get through that as well. Then where am I to go? Oh. Through here. I mean, naturally. I can see a little flicker of light there. That's going to be a key card, isn't it? I see you're adopting the old classic mechanic of making the player do something they don't want to do. Oh gosh, and you're doing it well. Okay, now you're standing up. Okay, that's good. I was trying to balance my options there, because I was thinking, should I try and run forward and get the keycard before they start reacting to me? Or instead, would it be better to just... Oh, goodness. No, it would seem the pizza was not good this week. Or would it have been a better idea just to wait for it to start approaching me, and then I could run away and sort of lead it around the tables a bit? Right. Okay. We have accessed the lounge along with the interplanetary arcade cabinet. Lovely stuff. Okay, good. Glad to see retro games haven't died out even in the far-flung future. Okay, right. The game's balancing itself quite nicely in terms of building up the scares, but also having a little respite in order for you to recover before spooking you again. Right. I can't reach Jonas or Summer any longer. We are down to just 4 people now. I can't make it to the bridge. There are too many of those things now. The doctor's gone too. I haven't been able to reach anybody over the local network in hours, and I'm not sure where you are or if you'll even see this. The things that happened to the ship during its era may have been a bearing on what we're going through. Just before the war, during a run, about 120 slaves broke free from the holding cells below and charged into the upper decks. They overpowered and killed 2 members of the crew and were making for the docks. No, they're making for the bridge when Phil couldn't read the English language anymore, but never mind. When the crew sealed its primary doors and trapped them into the bridge hall, the captain then authorised the pumping of a nerve gas long band into the decks. The slaves were probably weak from the drugs used to sedate them and their meagre rations. The nerve gas paralysed them and decimated the uprising. As retribution, and to set an example, the crew flayed the slaves within an inch of their lives, slashed and scarred their bodies, hewed off their noses, lips and ears. They were then thrown still alive into vats of acidic fertilizer in the hold. They died slowly, agonizing deaths down in the darkness. The ship returned to its homeworld, and there were no charges made against the crew. Instead, they were lauded for quelling an uprising, and the incident was wiped from official records. I see. That explains the red appearance of the individuals we've been seeing, and it also explains the acidic fertilizer that they were talking about before. That must be what has been dripping out of the vents. The war followed a few years later, and we know the rest. The slavers were crushed, and the ship disappeared for nearly a decade. It was likely used to ferry weapons and soldiers for the war effort at the time. There are forces at work here beyond our understanding. These walls have seen too much blood, and this vessel should never fly again. In case I don't see you again, I'd like to tell you that you did all you could, and it has been an honor to serve with you. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Okay. Oh man, and you were going to win as well with that hand, and then somebody had to come along and murder you. How very unfortunate. Okay. Let's see if we can get through here. This presumably must be leading to the bridge, because we must have explored the majority of the ship now, and it seems like we're understanding the majority of the story as well. So I'm going to guess that... Yep, here's the bridge. I was correct about that. I'm guessing we're approaching the end. Oh well, so much for going to the bridge. Oh. Into the cargo hold. Into the home of the poor unfortunates that were ferried on this vessel. Wow. I can't wait to open this cargo hold, look at the size of this room, and imagine just how uncomfortable it would be to have 120 people in it. Oh. I was going to say I'm not going to open the door. I'm going to pretend like there's interesting things to look at underneath the staircase before we do that, but it seems the door had other ideas. Oh dear. Okay, right. Oh, I feel uncomfortable just approaching this. Okay, well at least it's full of cargo. That's good. It's saving again, which isn't quite so good. Okay, well at least it seems to be of a decent size, so 120 slaves could have probably fit relatively, well, I was going to say comfortably. That's not the right word to use. I mean, you know, they weren't all just bundled into a wardrobe is what I'm trying to say. At least they had enough space to breathe. What's that? Access to another room, perhaps? It's like a sort of control room, or maybe like an inventory management area, perhaps? Yes, here we are. Yeah, let's get another key out of here and see if there's another message. To whoever sees this, they are all gone. George, Rico, Doc, Ian, Jones, Summit, Vasu, Manu, and Nina. Their names ring in my head like a death chant. Their faces will ever be in my mind. I could not save them, though I should have been able to. We've fallen through a chink in space and time. We've slipped into a netherworld where the past and the present have somehow collided, where the dead do not rest and the living are made ghosts. There is no explanation for what has happened here, except that sometimes history is a dead weight that burdens the living. We pay for the past, though we have raised neither fist nor whip. To the dead we must all look the same. I'm going to keep looking for them down here. And if I can't find them, I'm going to try and make it to the EVA airlock at the end of Cargo Hold 2. If I get out, I'll find a way to destroy the ship. Let the vessel and whatever walks within it be buried forever. You see, so the captain was the last one to be left alive. So this is... oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Well, at least I think they're trying to herd me. Trying to direct me towards the airlock, which is very kind of them. Okay, right. I feel like maybe some slightly more intense music might help at this point. But that looks like a window. Yeah, that's basically like a window sort of a thing, isn't it? Right, yeah, here we are. Through here, please. Gladly the enemies will just stand there and wait for me to resolve my little IT problem. and then and then they'll let me through the door. Yay! I have got myself in another dead end. Oh dear. Airlock access card. Good. That's the only positive thing that's come out of this room. Okay. How many of you are waiting for me? None of you. Well, that's very nice of you. Okay. So now that they've gone, I might be able to go back through one of the pathways they were blocking off, like this one. Oh, goodness. I mean, I know they're just cargo containers for carrying, like, intergalactic wheat in them and things. But these bars that made them look like slave cages. Well, it's a forklift truck. That's adorable. Okay, maybe it's down here. Chase sequence? Yes, indeed. Okay, good. That implies that I'm hopefully going the right way. Is that an airlock? I feel like I should probably be wearing some sort of a spacesuit, or get back to my ship perhaps before no, maybe not that way. Maybe not that way. Maybe down this way instead. Yeah, that looks positive. You know, light at the end of the tunnel. All that jazz. Hi. You got a real crick in your neck, haven't you? A bit of a bone to pick as well by the looks of things. Good. Now can I please get out of here before they manage to get onto my ship as well?
I hope you're okay. Det 2 officers will arrive on the scene soon. I just saw the messages you obtained from the ship's networks. I've sent them over to the labs. None of it makes sense for now, but it should help us bring closure to this investigation. Well done.
What do you mean it doesn't make sense? It makes perfect sense. They were driving a cursed ship, and it screwed them. A week after your mission, the ship was re-registered by the GIS and transported to the orbital scrap process for destruction. Well, that's good. I thought you were going to say it was put back into commission. Its crew were never found. I think it's safe to say they're dead. Or possibly worse. The end. This is actually a really nice story. I really enjoyed this. What I particularly like is the way that it managed to throw a bit of a curveball. It did a kind of story that I haven't seen done before. Because there's, as I mentioned when I was making the similes to Alien, there are a lot of stories about ships getting lost in space and the crew mysteriously disappearing, communications are down, the power seems to be out and somebody goes to investigate it. That much of the story is classic. But what they did with the story in terms of the slaves and the ghosts and discovering the history of the ship, that was a different sort of turn that I haven't seen other stories take before, which made it nice and novel as well, which was interesting. And the storytelling is understandably absolutely brilliant because it comes from an excellent group of storytellers. I think the only thing that I would perhaps criticise about it is the number of characters in the story, the number of crew members. I mean, it makes sense that you would have about 10 people on a small ship of this size. That much makes sense, but I feel like, I don't know, maybe if there'd been a few less, if there'd been maybe like 6 people, it would have been a little bit easier to keep track of who was who and sort of who had what duties and that sort of thing. But in terms of the actual build-up of the characters themselves into being believable characters that you actually felt for and you understood, it really did work, because you could understand the captain's commitment to his crew and the afflictions that Manu was experiencing and the confusion of the doctor, the stress of the mechanics, that kind of thing. So the characters were communicated really well. And possibly if I'd actually taken the time in order to actually read the to and froms in those little space emails, then maybe that would have been a little bit better. But yeah, that was actually really good. That was really enjoyable. A very nice way of doing a little bit of action and a little bit of use, like player interactivity, to merit it being a sort of a first-person game rather than it purely being a visual novel. But in terms of being a very narrative game, this hits the mark absolutely brilliantly, and it keeps up the very high standard of these developers fantastically, and I really enjoy playing it. I hope you enjoyed it as well. So thank you very much for joining me this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Look after each other, and good night.